This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Detectives have charged a Glenorchy man over evading police. A car was found dumped in Glenorchy after police say it was driven dangerously in the surrounding suburbs on Tuesday. A 23-year-old man was arrested in Moonee yesterday and has since been charged with evading police, aggravated burglary, stealing, breaching bail and firearms offences. Police are calling for any witnesses to contact Crime Stoppers. The closing submissions into the last-ditch appeal for convicted murderer Susan Neal-Fraser have begun in Hobart's Supreme Court. Crown Prosecutor Darryl Coates is arguing there is not enough fresh and compelling evidence for a new trial, while her defence says if heard all together, it does have the grounds for an appeal.
Susan Neal-Fraser's supporters filing in for the tail end of her last-ditch bid for freedom. The court hearing closing submissions from defence. Thomas Percy QC. Neal-Fraser is convicted of murdering her partner Bob Chappell on board a yacht moored in Sandy Bay in 2009. She's always maintained her innocence. Mr Percy's submissions lasted almost 2 hours, detailing his case and what he says amounts to fresh and compelling evidence, which would satisfy the requirements for a new appeal. In particular, evidence surrounding then 15-year-old Megan Vass, a homeless girl whose DNA was linked to a sample found on the yacht, saying the DNA was likely to be from bodily fluids, therefore a primary, not secondary transfer, as heard in the original trial, which points to the fact that she had at some stage been on the vessel, despite her denials. Concerns too over a winching experiment to show how the yacht's riggings could be used to lift Bob Chappell's body onto a dinghy. Her lawyer arguing the experiment was carried out by able-bodied police in broad daylight. Sue Neal-Fraser sat silently in the courtroom here today, occasionally making eye contact with her family and supporters as her defence lawyer and prosecution went head-to-head on whether she deserves an appeal against her conviction. Mr Percy told Justice Michael Brett that some of the evidence may not warrant an appeal on their own accord, but conjunctively represents a culmination of error. Chief Prosecutor Darryl Coates says nothing presented in this hearing passes the test for being fresh and compelling, and the case doesn't deserve to go to an appeal. The rest of submissions are due to be heard in Launceston next Friday. Louise HEDGER, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian public servants have taken their fight to Parliament House, demanding higher wages for all public sector staff. Inside, the government announced it would lead by example, Liberal politicians agreeing to reject an independent recommendation and limit their own wage increase to 2%.
Public servants seeing red, tempers at boiling point as staff rally through the streets of Hobart.
What do we want? Pay rise! When do we want it? Now!
Tasmania's 29,000 public sector staff have been offered a pay rise of 2%. But unions are ramping up their action, calling the Treasurer's offer a slap in the face.
We've had enough. I'm sick of this man's bullying. Public sector workers are sick of this man's bullying. Why doesn't he come down and show his face in front of these workers?
They will in the next year be the worst paid in the country. Now obviously that's very concerning when we are struggling to retain the current workforce and recruit to it.
And this could just be the beginning.
I'm absolutely certain that what we'll see over the coming weeks and months is a number of industrial actions rolling out. Whether that results in stop work meetings or strikes is yet to be determined.
Now, the Treasurer said the government would lead by example, today rejecting our proposed 2.5% pay increase. Instead, Liberal MPs' pay boost will be limited to 2%, but standing firm on the wage cap for public sector staff.
If we're paying our existing public servants more as a result of an up to 1% additional increase, that means that we've got less money to employ teachers, to employ nurses, to employ doctors.
Despite a number of Labor politicians rallying alongside public servants, the party would not confirm whether it would be limiting MP salaries alongside the government.
We're not going to buy into a political stunt that the Treasurer has announced today, which is purely aimed at capping the wages of teachers and nurses and teachers' assistants across the state.
And with further protests looming, health staff promised patients their care would not be compromised. Michelle WISBEY, Southern Cross News.
Labor has launched a scathing attack on the Premier, using Parliament to accuse him of telling lies. Rebecca White moved a censure motion against Will Hodgman today over his handling of the Angela Williamson saga. She was sacked from Cricket Australia after tweeting criticisms of the government and the availability of abortion services.
The behaviour that's been demonstrated by employees in your office, by ministers on your front bench, by yourself, is not acceptable, and there has to be a consequence for that.
The critical question, which we have answered repeatedly and will continue to do so, is at no time did we seek to influence Cricket Tasmania's employment of Angela Williamson. The answer to that is undoubtedly no.
The motion was defeated after more than an hour of heated debate. Launceston's chances of landing a Qantas Pilot Academy have doubled tonight, with confirmation 2 out of 9 shortlisted locations will secure a training facility. It comes as the group of passionate Tasmanian students, many aspiring to join the aviation industry, build a plane from scratch.
It might not look like much now, but by the end of next year, all of these pieces of intricately cut metal and this entire box of rivets will make a plane.
I don't know, about 10,000 rivets, we've done 50, so that's some progress.
Following a careful plan, this flat-pack aircraft will soon soar, launching a project that many high school students will never get to do.
The fact that the project is so big is what makes it valuable to students. It's huge, it's enormous, it takes care and discipline.
The team at Launceston Church Grammar have been working on it for 4 hours a week before and after school, many seeing it as invaluable experience.
Aviation's kind of in my blood. My dad's a pilot, private pilot, and my grandfather was as well. So I've always been interested in aviation.
And that interest might just become a reality, with Qantas announcing that 2 regional locations will be chosen to set up a brand new multi-million-dollar flight school.
Oh, the good thing is that the Flight Academy really is targeting ground routes, interest in flying careers.
The rumour mill has been running riot for months, but the good news is that Launceston's chances have now doubled.
The airport infrastructure itself, our runways and aprons and so on, are a big bonus, and I think also given the AMC University of Tasmania location and piece, that's good too.
The first site is expected to be operational by next year, with the second by 2020. Successful locations will be announced in the coming weeks. Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania is producing more wine than ever before and at record prices, all thanks to a thirsty market. The latest vintage report by the state's wine body says perfect weather last summer has helped grape growers smash harvest records.
FRAN Austin has been running the DELAMERE vineyard for the past decade, but this year has been ripe for the picking with ideal growing conditions.
The results have been really exceptional. We've ended up, because of that cool start, we've got quite high acidity in the wines, but that warmer season really gave us fruit with really delicious, generous, ripe flavours.
Tasmania has produced a record harvest of 16,000 tonnes of grapes over the 2018 vintage. That's equal to 1.18 million cases of wine. Prices also reaching record highs.
So in 2018, we've reached a value per tonne of Tasmanian wine grapes of almost $3,000, which is well in excess of the national average.
It seems drinkers can't fill their glasses fast enough.
I think it is definitely demand driven. We've certainly seen in the last few years where Tasmania wine in a whole has been quite in undersupply, so that's meant high prices for fruit.
Nearly 300,000 visitors also called into the state's cellar doors to taste a drop. Luckily, this year's bumper harvest could see more bottles on the way.
A little bit more bottles on shelves, and most importantly, the wine should be looking fantastic. We're really happy with the results qualitatively out of the vintage.
Pinot Noir is still dominating the market at 46% of Tasmania's wines, but other sparkling varieties are getting more of a pour.
I think the 2018 will go down as a really high quality classic year, and hopefully people will be drinking these wines for many years to come because they'll put some down in their cellar.
MCCOMISH, Southern Cross News.
Volunteers around the state are manning booths and stalls for Daffodil Day tomorrow. The annual Cancer Council fundraiser is aiming to collect $4 million nationwide this year.
It's a very, very special day. I've been doing it a few years now. It's very heartwarming to see people come in and donate, lots of money. It's very, very good.
All funds raised in Tasmania go towards medical research and helping families affected by cancer. Tasmania's job advertisements are booming, with a 26% growth on last year. SEEK reports the strongest sector is trades, with a 16% rise since 2014. Healthcare and hospitality are also in high demand. Analysts are attributing the growth to the boom in tourism, agriculture and population increases. Tasmania's job ad growth is 3 times the national average. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Australian shares have fallen, with banking and utility stocks down, while the turmoil around the future of Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has taken its toll on the Aussie dollar. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 21.6 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at just under 73 US cents and 109.32 New Zealand cents.
2 of the TSL's biggest rivals are preparing to do battle under the lights of Blunston Arena in what's shaping up as the fiercest contest of the year so far. And with the losers' premiership dream ending on the spot, Lauderdale and Clarence know exactly what's at stake. Considered outside chances to go on and win the flag, the Eastern Shore rivals are hungry to prove the doubters wrong, but only one of them will survive past the weekend.
Perfect, isn't it? I suppose if you had to predict at the start of the year who'd you want in the first elimination final, I think nearly everyone in the state would probably say Clarence and Lauderdale. Injury plagued in recent times, the Roos have had a shaky run towards finals, bouncing back from 3 losses on the trot last weekend with a 22-point win over Kingborough. We can handle the pressure and execute under real pressure with less experience in the team, then we'll win the game.
Certainly won't be led into a false sense of security with a few injuries.
Jake Cox returns from suspension for the Saturday night clash, while the Southern Bombers will be without skipper Bryce Walsh thanks to a rolled ankle.
He certainly gets us going, he gets in the opposition's face, he gets his hands on the ball first, puts his head over the ball, and he certainly is the heartbeat of the team.
But Winter has no doubt his men will respond, given what's at stake.
Yeah, well, it's a final against Clarence at Belrose, so we know it's going to be pretty hot out there.
And with the winner set to take on either Glenorchy or Launceston in a semi-final, neither side can afford anything but near-flawless footy from here on in.
I know we don't fear anyone in the competition.
It is what it is. We've got to do it the hard way, so we will.
The State Netball League's 2 biggest clubs will leave it all on the court this weekend when reigning 3-time champions Arrows take on minor premiers the Northern Hawks in the 2018 Grand Final.
Arrows have had the same sort of game style for the 3 years running so far, and we're pretty confident that we've established a game plan that can not only beat them but any team on the day.
It's just going to come down to the day. It's going to come down to the defence and who can get more turnovers and convert them.
The game begins at 4:30 this Saturday afternoon at the Hobart Netball Centre. And finally in sport, Tasmania's Queen of Lawn Bowls has done it again, with Launceston's Rebecca Van Ash claiming back-to-back Australian Indoor Championships in New South Wales.
Look, it's been an incredible 2018 on all fronts, really. It's been an amazing year, and to go back-to-back's obviously very special, and to do the double with the Australian Open's pretty cool too.
Van Ash taking the title in a tense 3rd set tiebreak against Victoria's Chloe Stewart. And Jo, she's also due to have a baby in a few months too, so not a bad effort at all.
I didn't know that, Tom. There you go. We just love it, don't we?
Good evening. Today started out with frost and fog ahead of a mostly sunny day for the eastern half of the state and cloud in the west. Hobart and Launceston both reaching a top of 14, Burnie and Devonport both 12 degrees. 16 was the state's high recorded on King Island, and the lowest temperature overnight was -8 at Lyowini. Smithton, St Helens, Friendly Beaches, Grove and Strawn all with a top of 14 today. Flinders Island, Lowhead, Maria Island and Ooze all 13. Looking to the skies, extensive low clouds sat over the west with some patchiness in the east. On the bigger picture, a low over South Australia was surrounded by cloud and embedded thunderstorms, while cold air produced speckled convective cloud over southern WA. Tomorrow, a complex low lies over the east of the mainland and a ridge runs from southern WA to the Tasman Sea. To the coastal waters, west to northwesterly winds, more variable in the north, swells to 3 metres in the west and south. Now let's take a closer look around the state tomorrow. Hobart, partly cloudy with a top of 17. The same for Campania, Huonville, 16 degrees. Launceston, partly cloudy, 16 the top, 14 and mostly sunny for Devonport and Georgetown. Fine and 14 for Burnie, Strawn and Wynyard. St Helens, sunny, 17 the top. Swansea, mostly sunny, 17 degrees. And Port Arthur, 14. Now the weekend will start off with areas of morning fog ahead of a mostly fine day on Saturday. Perhaps some showers about the west. Showers in the west on Sunday, extending statewide in the afternoon and evening. And there'll be snowfalls to around 500 metres. Monday, mainly fine apart from a few showers in the east, south and west. Now let's take a look at the big map for tomorrow. Perth, 19 degrees, partly cloudy. Darwin, mostly sunny, 31. Brisbane, a shower or two, 23 the top. Showers for Sydney, a top of 19. Melbourne, 18 and sunny. And a cloudy day with a top of 20 for Adelaide. Taking a look now at the current conditions across the state. The blossoms were out today and there'll be clearer skies tomorrow. It's almost spring, Jo, and I can't wait.
It almost is, Britt. We're hanging on, aren't we? Thank you so much for that. That's all from the news team for now. We'll see you tomorrow.